Hey everybody, Vinny Sinisi here, out to lunch today with a really good friend of mine. Man, 40 years?
At least.
This is the guy who owns Robichau's Jewelry. If you haven't been there, go there because it's an iconic place that's transformed from Timber Lakes, Timber Ridge into Panther Creek Village Center. And then you got your other place.
And we have a second location off of 99 in Rayford that's been there for 7 years now.
I can't believe 7 years.
7 years, time flies.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to go down in that. My ankle bracelet goes off. But I love your store in Panther Creek, and your dad and your uncle, right, Jack?
Yep. So my dad, Jack, and my mom started it back. Actually, we just celebrated our 40th anniversary last April.
40 years.
So I was 7 when my dad and mom started the store. So I can remember going out with them to Grogan's Mill Shopping Center and putting flyers on car windows and into Panther Creek Shopping Center, which we eventually ended up being, and doing that same stuff. And so he opened we lived in Timber Lakes, Timber Ridge, and he opened at that little strip center right at the end of Sawdust and Glenlock because it was that close to the home. And if he ever needed to be home, he was right there. The rent was affordable. And so he just decided to open up there.
That was like the boonies out there.
You had to be lost to find us.
Yeah, if you didn't know it was there.
Right. If you didn't live pretty much in Timber Lakes or in Grogan's Point at that time, you probably didn't know where we were.
And I found out about it because Little League. We all went through Little League together. And Ray, your uncle, he was big into the Little League. Jack was too, but I was really close with Ray. And come to the store. And then they had an auto repair shop next door who was Mike Sutter.
Yep.
And his kids played on our Little League team.
Right.
So we'd go over there and you were right on that corner. And we'll go over there. And I went in there. I was like, this is not some dive play. They got some pretty nice stuff in here.
What's interesting to most people may not know is that how my dad got into the jewelry business was my dad was one of 13 kids, and they grew up in Beaumont. Right. And the funny thing was my grandfather, I never met him. He died when he was 54, back in the early 70s. But he was actually studying to become a Catholic priest in his early 20s.
I was going to say, they got to be Catholics.
Right. Yeah, no TVs and TVs in the bedroom back then. But anyway, so he decided it wasn't for him. He got out of seminary, joined the Marines, and then met our grandmother, who was from the Bronx, at a USO dance in New York. Married her, brought her back to Texas and Beaumont, and had 13 kids. So when he died, there was 11 kids still at home. My dad was one of the ones that was kind of out. He was in college at Lamar University. Dropped out of college to get a job to help support. And one of his friends had said, hey, there's a opening at a Gordon's jewelry store there in the mall. So he went and applied, got the job, and then within about a year or two, worked his way up to a store manager. And then most people don't realize, but Gordon's jewelry store started in downtown Houston. So the Gordon brothers had their flagship store downtown, and my dad went and worked downtown.
And he had to have a job because you got 11 kids at home.
11 kids, and he was the fourth oldest. And so that's how we got into the business. And so my earliest memories, besides putting the flyers on the car windows, was my dad. We lived in Timber Lakes, Timber Ridge. My dad worked downtown. He would work 12-hour days, 6 days a week, and he slept on Sundays. And you couldn't talk to him when he got home for an hour because he had to de-stress from the drive. And so he did that for probably 10 to 12 years.
And back then there was no Hardy.
No
Hardy Toll Road. And 45 was just 4 lanes, right? 2 and 2.
It would take him an hour and a half each way. And so after about 10 to 12 years of doing that, he got with my mom and said, if I'm going to work this hard, I'm going to do it for myself. Well, back in 1985, no banks were giving out any money for small business loans. And so
Oil crunch.
Right. He found that spot. He got with his family and said, this is what I'm wanting to do. I found a spot. I have this. I need X amount of dollars to start. And they all pitched in and gave him that money.
Seriously.
And he opened that store with 12 pieces of jewelry, finished jewelry. 9 were my mom's, and the rest were wax forms. So all jewelry starts in wax forms. And so he had trays and cases of waxes. So back then in 85, 86, it was, state of Texas nugget rings and fish, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And you would say, oh, I love that. Oh, I have gold. I'll use my gold to that, or we'd supply it and whatever. And then my mom she's very crafty and artsy, and she would do these crafts and they would sell them in the store too. And so he paid all of his siblings back with interest in 1 year from that. And that's how we started.
From Timber Ridge,
Yep.
Timber Lakes.
Timber Lakes, Timber Ridge.
A little dive store that...
I tell people all the time, I got into the business in 2002. Growing up, I never wanted to be in this business because we would have to go to the business. We'd have to go to the store when we got in trouble. So my mom would get fed up with us, especially in summertime, and then she'd be like, okay, I'm dropping you off at the store. And my dad would make us either sweep the floors or count batteries or go through small little diamonds and sort them out. And so it was like punishment for us. And so growing up, and I never really worked in high school at the store. I do every so often, just something like that. But
what changed your mind?
After college, I got a job working in kind of like a marketing role. And I had to do a lot of cold calling down in Houston. And I did that for about a year and a half. And I hated it. I hated going and feeling like a burden to people that didn't know I was coming in.
What were you selling?
So I actually was working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and I was selling the corporate accounts. So I would set up the mechanics. I would set up the hotels, the dealership, stuff like that. I'll tell you this. There's a reason why that the average age over there is like 26. It's a young person's
smile and dial
thing, and it was the rental car part of it is one thing, but then you can get into actual business of setting up companies that come in all the time and doing that. I like that part of it, but then they just kept hey, saying you get promoted to this and never really would happen.
Yeah.
So doing that part of that job for almost a year, I was just like, you know what? Maybe Dad's onto something.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's why he changed his mind and said, I'm going to do my own deal.
And so so I took him to lunch and said, maybe, people are coming to you. And 99% of the time when somebody walks through our door, a transaction is being made, no matter what it is.
I'm guilty.
Right. And so that's kind of what I thought. And I was like, hey, at the time he'd been open 21 years, had a customer base of about 2,000 people. I was 24, and I was like, I'm not walking into a brand new thing. And so that was in October of 2002.
Man, that's crazy.
Right. And so I would tell him, I remember I started in October of 2002, and that Christmas was one of our worst Christmases we ever had. And I'm thinking to myself, oh God, Dad's going to let me go.
Because my own dad's going to fire me.
We didn't have a great Christmas, but we ended up bouncing back and it was fine. But I would tell my dad, who was just, as somebody had been in the business at that time for almost 30 years, was set in his ways. And he just wanted the store to provide for us, for our family. And that was it. He had no dreams of scaling it, getting bigger. I think he would have thought, like, once the kids are grown and they're in their careers, and I'll just do a going out of business sale and be done. And so I would tell him, at that time being 24, 25, like guys my age that would go and talk to somebody at work, like, hey, I'm thinking about getting engaged. Where should I go? If 10 of those guys said, go see Robichau's, 6 would drive down, turn into that little strip center with that mechanic shop on the end, bars on our window, and a little stop and go.
Bars on the window.
Bars on the window.
About that.
And they had a little rinky-dink Mexican restaurant next to it. And be like, oh, I'm not going to spend whatever the dollar amount was.
Yeah, this got to be a
6 out of 10 would drive out. The 4 that stopped and came in, once they came in, we got them.
Yeah.
But I was like, Dad, you're blowing this whole marketing location theory out the water because this location sucks. And you've been in business now at the time for 21 years. And, it provided for us. I mean, growing up, we had a great life, great childhood.
I got to tell you that when I first saw, I'm thinking, if this place is any good, what's it in this crappy location for? And then I went in there a couple times because I knew the family from the Little League thing. And I went, well, this is pretty good stuff right here. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a jewel either, but I mean, I knew a little bit about what looked good and what looked bad.
Well, and for our industry, we're selling relationships. That's what we're selling.
Yeah.
And it's no matter if it's an engagement ring, it's an anniversary gift, it's a birthday gift, it's a self-purchase for a great thing that's happened in a milestone in your life, but we're also there to help repair it. And we're there for generational, we have customers now that I'm on the 3rd generation.
When did you move over to Panther Creek?
So we moved in September of 2007.
Okay.
So we've been there almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's...
I walked in a couple weeks ago. You were at the jewelry thing in Vegas.
Yeah.
And there was a line.
Uh-huh.
and I walked in. I went, okay, did I miss the big sale or what's going on here? And everybody
Well, you did because the whole month of April, everything was 40%
oh,
off.
shut up.
I purposely didn't tell you.
Yeah. And I've been telling you for years. Look,
I knew.
My anniversary.
I know when your anniversary is. That's why I didn't tell you.
Yeah, my anniversary is June 13th.
Right? Oh, I have it. I have it down.
45 years this year. And I've been telling you for years, you should send out a reminder like 2 months before to the wife and the husband, because wives buy jewelry too.
Yeah. So I had that on, and that's why I didn't send it to you, because it was 40% off.
Yeah. Thanks.
But then also I do have it. So we have a thing that's actually it's called a wish list. So literally, I tell wives all the time, just come in throughout any part of the year, pick anything you want. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. Anything that you like, put it on that list. So that way when the husband comes in, because most guys feel intimidated coming into a jewelry store to get something for their wife because, number one, they really don't know a whole lot about jewelry. And then number two, they're going to be like, well, whatever I get, she's going to want to return it. It may not be the right thing, and then I'm just going to be stuck with it, whatever. And so that way, at least you're helping out the husband or the boyfriend and be like, hey, I can go in there and I can pick out of whatever you've picked. I already know you like it. So if I like it, I know you like it, and I'm fine and I'm okay with that. So it makes it easy for the guy to come in and say, okay, I've got price ranges from $100 to $10,000. And so depending on the occasion, you can pick it.
My wife, in the whole time you've owned both those stores, now the third store down there in Harmony down in 99, has never, ever gone in there with me.
No.
2 weeks ago, right? I had a couple watches that you were fixing for me, and she happened to be with me, and she said, let's go into Robichau's. I mean, we got our anniversary coming up, 45 years. Isn't that like sapphire? I'm like,
she's already been researching.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. And I already bought that necklace a couple months ago, but I don't want her to find out. We had that pulled back, Yeah. And I said, you want to go into Robichau's? Yeah. We walked in there, right? And she's like, well, I really like that one. I'm like, you're not getting that. And then we walked over and saw the other one. I really like this even more. So you're not getting that one either. We're going to Vegas, and that's our anniversary. For years, guys, my wife says, oh, we're not getting each other any gifts for our anniversary, right? Don't fall into that trap. Because the first year you don't buy her anything, she'll buy you something, and then
even if you could just get a card, just get something.
Yeah.
Don't come in empty-handed.
Well, now you've got Matt, right?
Matt's my brother.
My brother. Yeah, and he works. You guys just switch.
We kind of split. So Matt is the youngest. So I'm the oldest of three boys, and so me and Matt, he's the youngest. Our majority owners, our middle brother Jason, who is a sports artist and does some stuff for us. He has a small percentage of that of the store as well. But Matt, growing up, he's always wanted to be in the store since he was 10. He knew that's what he wanted to do, and so. Our dad had a thing where he was like, if anybody wanted to be in the store, they had to graduate from college because he wasn't able to go to college, finish college. So we all graduated from college. Matt knowing kind of what he wanted to do, but then my dad kind of twisted and said, you need to work for somebody else for a year or two.
Get seasoned.
Yeah, don't just come straight into the store.
Nice.
So me not ever wanting to be in it, I didn't really care. And so at this time when you were asking me earlier about moving to Panther Creek, so there used to be a tanning salon out here called The Beach. She was out here for like 25 years. Right there next to Brooklyn Cafe.
My daughter worked there.
Right. There's a lot. I mean, Brooklyn Cafe and The Beach and Randall's were all right there.
And
I worked at Randall's in high school. But so she had come in. And she was like, I know you've been talking about maybe wanting to move the store and all this. My husband is just retired from, I think, Shell, and we want to go live in the hill country. But I still have a year left on my lease. So the landlord said, if you could sublet it, you can break it. So just come take a look. And so my Uncle Ray, who got into the business in 1990, and most people knew Ray. My dad was very more reserved, quiet. He liked the business aspect of it.
He wasn't more out in the public like Ray.
Correct. Ray was out there because he was umpiring, he was doing all this stuff like that. And so me and Ray went on a Saturday and got breakfast at Brooklyn Cafe and just sat outside and watched people for about an hour and a half. And I remember going back to my dad and saying, Dad, I think this is a great move. The only thing, what he saw was it was the exact same square footage as what our store was in Timber Lakes.
Right.
3 times the rent.
Yeah.
So he just saw that and he was like, no. I said, Dad, all we have to do is sell 1 or 2 things extra a month. That's it. We don't have to have anything new or whatever. And it took about a month and a half, 2 months of convincing. And then when he finally said yes, I sent him and my mom on a cruise. And we started the whole move-in process.
Get them out of the way to
Just,
move
hey,
it.
go enjoy. We're going to
We'll
get
take
everything
care of
started going and everything. And we moved in September of 07.
Son of a beach.
Yep. In fact, they had the sign taken down. I called her to come pick it. Like, you want the sign, you want to keep it.
Was that Teresa?
I think so. Yeah.
So Teresa is a real estate agent with us. She hired my daughter
Yeah.
and tannings, they're
Still,
safe.
they were still when we first moved in, they were like, little rooms. So every door had a number.
Yeah.
And there was little bunny stickers, and stuff like that.
Sure.
But no, we opened up in September of 07, and we did more than we did the previous year at the old store in those months without anything new.
It was great timing for your dad and Ray, because the Woodlands was growing so fast that Glenlock was kind of like the cut through.
I was about to say that was the cut through. That was the hidden that nobody would know about to get through.
You had to stop at that stop sign.
Oh yeah,
there's your place.
And most people knew Marissa Bell's. So Marissa Bell's restaurant was just around the corner into Timber Lakes, Timber Ridge. So people, if you said I'm close to Marissa Bell's, okay, I can find you. I know where that's at.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when we moved, it was, people would come in, oh, I've always heard about you, never knew where you were. And I would tell, like my dad, it's like, Dad, we're not a destination anymore. Meaning that people can't have to go find us. They could be at Starbucks and then all of a sudden, oh, that's Robichau's, right? Let's go in there and take a look.
Yeah.
Or let's go get this stuff done. So we were able to draw more people in than they were just to try to find us there in that little strip center.
Yeah, I think the same worked for Woodlands Eye Associates, because Joby Kaufman had the place over there over by the hospital, and then he opened up that, and
that one I think, and because I think he's recently sold, but that one was, I think, their breadwinner, 100%.
Yeah.
But the same way, it's like same with Brooklyn Cafe. They had for a long time. They had that 242 location. And this one, the Panther Creek one, was the one carrying it.
What are they putting next door? They're redoing.
They're putting a
where Randall's used to be.
God, now you made me think about it. They're putting in a Sprouts. Sprouts is going to take half of that, and then they're doing a hardware store on the other end, like a higher end hardware store.
Because we used to have the Sears over there on the other side.
This one's going to be more like I forget the name of it, but there's one down in Houston, so a little bit nicer fixtures, nicer stuff like that.
The Woodlands.
Right.
When I moved to the Woodlands in 1980, that center was not even there.
Oh, no.
That was woods.
No.
And that was 1980.
I can remember going to Grandy's restaurant on Sawdust. I used to love that place. And they had Haydn's on the corner of the freeway in Sawdust.
Jim Panero.
Yep. And
my mom worked there.
That was it. I remember that. And then going to the wharf. And then going to they had the baseball card shop, and they had the skating rink, and they had all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I remember. I mean, I pretty much grew up here.
And now Kevin Brady, who's going to be doing a podcast with us, he said he would, so I'm holding you to it. He's got his own freaking library over there, which is really, if you haven't seen that, go. It's really awesome.
A pretty neat little area.
A lot of history there. Kevin and I met in 1985.
Yeah, so the Woodlands has definitely changed.
Changed for the better?
I say yes and no. Traffic is forget it.
No.
I mean,
but
business wise, yes.
Oh yeah.
But residential, you're like, oh, it used to take me like 15 minutes to get to this, and now it's taking me 45 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. That mobility is
I used to think that
the
center of the Woodlands was Panther Creek, and I would tell people all the time, I want to be in the middle, because up until recently, people in the back couldn't go. They couldn't go anywhere. They had to come shop or eat. They had to go to the front. People in the front do not go back. The farthest they're going to go back is Perry's. That's it.
Yeah.
And so I had both of them. Well, now I think since everything's gone towards Magnolia and all that, now I think the center's probably Cochran's Crossing or Indian Springs. Will probably be the center of the Woodlands now.
Yeah. So you've got Matt. You got you. I think, what do you have, like a dozen employees?
I have 12 employees for both stores. So we have myself and my brother Matt. We have our cousin Shannon, who's Ray's daughter. She's been with us almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And then I have 4 other employees, including jewelers at the Woodland store, and I have 3 at the Spring store. We have. So Matt, I pretty much stay at the Woodland store. Matt will go back and forth from the Spring store to the Woodland store, back and forth. We both live over there close to Bender's Landing. So, you know, what's weird is that when my wife and I got married, we lived in Alden Bridge, and it takes me about the same amount of time to get to the Woodland store from close to Bender's to then Alden Bridge to the Panther Creek.
And she's a doctor?
She's a sports medicine with Methodist.
How about that? If
Right.
you get
I
injured,
married up.
Yeah, she got bad eyesight. So
She was a gymnast at LSU. I think she hit her head too many times on the beam.
Yeah. I'll marry you.
Yeah.
So what's the future hold?
So it's a good question. So right now,
Need another brother.
no more family coming in. No more
wow.
family coming in. No. Don't want to make Thanksgivings and Christmases weird.
Any talk ever about let's do another store like downtown or?
No, I think we've
Y'all are
talked
doing
about
good.
that, but I think I don't want to stretch ourselves too thin. Opening up the
Sound like your
second
dad
location.
now.
Yeah, we'll open up the second location. Like my dad would have never opened up a second location.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work. I think it's far enough away that we're obviously not competing with the same customers. But I think if we had something else, I joke around with Terry McBurney all the time because he had the Republic Grill, was the first one in Panther Creek.
Yeah.
And then we opened up over there and he has this right there. And he goes, well, I have a restaurant in Creekside. Do you want to open a store? And I was like, no, I do not.
Yeah.
Because my thing is I want the experience to be the same.
Yeah.
No matter if you're at the Woodland store or the thing. So if we can't like master that, I don't want to just have stores to have stores.
Yeah.
I'd rather eventually, I would love to have our own store, meaning like own property and stuff, but it's super tough right now in the Woodlands area
And
to do that.
Give the Woodlands a piece of your deal.
Well, right. And so, right now I'm locked in at Panther Creek. I have really no spot to go to, like the Woodlands Eye Associates and Brooklyn Cafe or Staples, along with ourselves. And so, I think, we all have kids now Matt and I have kids that are going to be seniors in high school and then freshmen. Every one of our kids, even my nephews and my niece, Jason's kids that are in College Station, have the opportunity to work at the store. We don't force it on anything like that. So hopefully it's a third generation. But, I think that we definitely have room to grow, whether that be that we just expand our Woodland store or, we decide that we're able to find land and do something. Yeah. The time will tell.
All those stores, Brooklyn Cafe, your place, and the Eye Associates, very professional until I walk in. And then it's, hey!
Yeah, then it's like, gosh, we can't shoot the shit as long as we used to, Vinny. I got a line full of people here.
I know. When I said that, everybody turned around and said, yeah, there's a sale. I'm like, wait, what? How come I didn't know? Well, you've got your own collection now.
Correct.
So, you go in, what I'm a Robichau, that's a French thing, right? Kunas or?
Yeah, so French Cajun came from France to Nova Scotia down to Louisiana.
We were talking about that today with my operations manager, my real estate firm. I said, where do you think they came in from? She goes, ask them. I bet they went Nova Scotia. And I said, Nova Scotia? That's way the hell up there.
A lot of French came to Nova Scotia, and then a lot of them got exiled out. I'm surprised our family didn't get one of the first ones.
Because I grew up in central New York.
Right. It's
Canada, right there, the French, right?
And so they all of their spellings was ended with a D. Up there, where Louisiana Cajuns is AUX or whatever. So I have an uncle who is a huge historian and especially family genealogy, and he's gone to every town that not only his dad and Robichau side, but then his mom's side, which was Irish. He's gone to all their villages and all that stuff. And the cool thing that he wrote a book about it for us. And the cool thing that I didn't realize, and now it makes sense, is that way back in the 1600s, 1700s, not that many people read and wrote. So if you went to a village and town, you moved there, and what's your name? Whoever was writing that, however they spelled it, is how it was spelled for however many generations.
Yeah, yeah.
So you could have had 3 or 4 different spellings of a name, and they all be related.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was it. And so that's why there's so many different spellings of different names, like Robichau and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, no. So came down to Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans, and then I think it was my great grandfather that moved him to Beaumont.
Yeah, because my family, my grandmother, my wife's grandparents, Beaumont.
Yep.
The Zitos, and same thing, bunch of Catholics, and
there's a lot of Golden Triangle people here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And here's what is for me very fascinating about this story is that your dad, one of 13 kids, right? Mm-hmm. So of course he's going to grab on to what he owns and put that wall up. Now I don't want to do another location. I don't want to expand. You said that because they probably had to fight for bread when they were growing up because, I mean, you think about when he grew up in the early 1900s that, there wasn't a lot to go around for 13 kids. But, of course, if you're Catholic, birth control is Sunday during church usually. And sometimes that doesn't even happen where I grew up. Anyway, so you know what I'm saying? So every year you got a kid coming. So you got to save up.
My grandmother had 13 kids in 16 years. Yeah. She had 3 kids in 1 calendar year.
Yeah. My Aunt
Twins.
Pat had 10 kids.
And they didn't even grow up on a farm.
Yeah. A girl, 8 boys, and a girl.
Right.
I'm like,
so my dad would tell us, he was like, I can remember, especially in the summertime, that we would get breakfast, and then she would lock us out of the house till lunch. And then let us back in to eat lunch, and then lock us out again because she couldn't get anything done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I think kind of what you're saying for my dad, it was 1, providing for a family. 2, like I said, he was a risk taker because to start their own company, I mean, that's a huge, huge gamble, huge risk, especially with 3 kids. And like I said, I was the oldest at 7. And so, I mean, my mom drove a school bus so we could get insurance. So I can remember getting up and riding all of her bus routes and then get dropped at the bus barn or whatever, and then get until it was time to me to go to school. And then there are some times where our bus driver would drop us off at the store, and then there's a baseball field behind the store. Yep. So my dad would shut the store and lock it up, and we'd go play catch or play baseball for like an hour.
We practiced
back there. Yeah. We used to. I mean, I was like, oh my, I couldn't even think about doing that right now.
Yeah. It's funny because you could have been a jeweler or a bus driver.
Whichever one. Yeah. That's like my wife is probably glad I'm a jeweler, not a bus driver.
So, I mean, how do you get to be a good jeweler? I mean, now you just got back from Las Vegas for the jewelry show.
Yep.
But is it just experience, what to look for? I mean, diamonds have like certain different categories.
Yeah, so everybody asks like, did you go to school for this? No, obviously I didn't. I graduated with a marketing degree. We learned from our dad.
Yeah, yeah.
And our dad obviously didn't go to college for this, and so he learned on the job training.
So it's such a great story.
But the thing was, I can remember even when I was a kid and we'd have to work there, but then especially when I decided to make this a career, when we were slower, he would be like, all right, come out to the front. Now I'm going to act like a customer, and I want you to show me emerald rings and pull it out. Now tell me about this. And he'd have me write the ticket and do all this kind of stuff and do all this kind of experience in it. And then he would sit down and, in our industry, people, you go to a recognizable face. So if you go to a certain store, that's the person I want to deal with. Well, being a new person, nobody wanted to deal with me. They didn't know who I was.
Who the hell is this
guy?
Right.
So like you would come in and ask for a watch battery. Well, then you'd give it to my dad or Ray. Well, then they'd just give it to me. And then I would do it until you got familiar with, okay, he can do what he says he can do and he can handle it. So that's what I'm doing now is training for my younger staff to be like, hey, you can have your own customers. I'm trying to just trying to where everybody's not asking for me and we have a line of people waiting for me. And then I can't eat my lunch.
I went in there a few weeks ago, and I had those 2 watches I wanted you to fix, and you weren't there. Mm-hmm. Shannon was, and one of the other girls came up, and she said, "What do you got?" And I said, "Well, this watch needs a battery, and then this one's just not working. It doesn't even run." And so I said, "But Shannon knows what I'm talking about."
Right.
And she looked over, she goes, "Yeah, it's Vinny. We'll take care of it." And she goes, "You don't want me to do it?" And I said, "I don't really know who you are."
Right.
Right. And so she introduced herself. Next time I went in, she introduced herself again. I said, "No, I didn't want to make you feel inferior. It's just that usually when I come in, I don't have to explain who I am. It's like, oh, Vinny, yeah, give us our thing.
Well, besides you, but most people are coming in there with a prized possession of theirs, whether it be a family heirloom or something that they bought themselves. And so you're like, I don't want to just give it to somebody. If it's a dry cleaning issue, it's something else. That's you're easy to give that up. So you have to build a trust and loyalty in our business. And so, kind of answer your question earlier it's really just getting in the fire and doing it and trying to. Like I said before, we sell relationships, and I'm selling that. And so I don't need you just to come in for this. I'm not trying to sell you this one thing and then be done with you. Like I want you to come in, and then you come in to get something fixed, and then come in for an anniversary gift, and then your son's graduating. I'm going to get him a watch.
Yeah, that's what Gary Keller talked about being a real estate agent. He wanted it to be like a doctor, a lawyer, a CPA. You're not just coming in and buying a house and see you later. Mm-hmm. It's a real estate agent for life. It's a jeweler for life.
Because those are people that you're going to need. Maybe not as frequently as you think, but sometimes maybe they do.
More than a house.
Right. Well,
every year on the anniversary.
Right. No. But no, so that's the thing is you want to have somebody that, hey, I've got a guy. I got this guy that fixes this or does this or helps me with that. Yeah. And so, our industry is just, building relationships. Getting back to, like you said, with our collection and stuff, we've always custom designed. It was kind of a hidden thing that we've done for a while and finally got out there probably about 15, 20 years ago to let people know, like, hey, we make one-of-a-kind pieces. Yeah, you do. So recently, probably in the last 3 years, kind of came up with, why don't we have our own line? And so I just came back from the jewelry show in Vegas, which is more finished jewelry, stuff like that. There's a gem show in Tucson every year where all the best miners and companies from around the world come and show their loose stones. And so that's where I would go to find the stones, what's popular. I can see trends, what's happening, the colors that are going to be out for that year. But then also for the Vegas show, it's more of like, what are people buying? Like, so these big high-end companies are going to kind of show you, like, hey, this is what we're pushing. Yeah. And whatever they're pushing, it trickles down, and then everybody will start to pick it up and do it. So you can kind of see where things are going. So we have a CAD program that I've done for the last probably 13 years. Yeah. You're a stud.
I mean, really, I've watched you grow into changing batteries to customizing your own stuff. And you've got several cabinets, obviously, with stuff that is made by other companies. And then you got your own display case over here with all your custom stuff. Excuse me. But you've got watches, but you used to have a lot of different lines of watches. I know you sell Citizen.
The most I had was 3. Yeah. The most I had is 3. I personally love watches. I have 20 myself. But the thing with watches is that unless it's a Rolex, an Omega, or something like that, that's not bringing a lot of people in versus a fashion line or something like that. Now, I can get most of those watches as well, but then it takes up space. So if I look at it and say, okay, like we've carried Citizen. My dad started with Citizen in '95. Yeah, I love great them. Watch. Recommend. I call them. It's a great everyday watch. But if we used to carry Seiko as well, and then we had a watch called Ball, which unless you knew about like Ball watches, you had no clue about them, but they're a very nice timepiece. So it would take up space, and the investment that you had in it would be like, is it worth it compared to if I carried this line and everybody's coming in for it? If we had more space, maybe we carry an extra line of watches and stuff like that.
You sell a lot of wedding rings.
Yep.
Yeah, because you got that whole side over there.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much we're a bridal store, so almost half of our showcases is bridal. Yeah. Whether it be engagement rings, wedding bands for her, wedding bands for him.
And what diamonds, best aphrodisiac known to man. What, you know what an aphrodisiac is?
I do, thank you.
You want me to call Doc and say, hey.
Forget the oysters.
Yeah. I had 12 of those once and only 11 worked, so I don't know if that's true. But anyway, the bands that you make and the diamonds that you make, what do you think the average size of a diamond is it like a bell curve?
Why are we doing this?
Huh?
Why are you doing that?
Because is it a bell curve where like young people that are getting married and everything, they're going to buy a big diamond, and then as time goes on, you get to be in your 30s and 40s and 50s, and then 60s, they buy big diamonds again. Or is that not?
It's usually that would probably be the trend, but right now, in the last probably 5 years, lab-grown diamonds have come out on the market, which they've been doing lab-grown diamonds since 1940, but mostly for industry and tech. So a lab-grown diamond is a natural diamond takes 1 million years to crystallize and form in the earth. They're doing that process in a month.
Oh.
And so how they do that is they take a slice of a diamond, they put it into a chamber, they put carbon into the chamber, that's what a diamond starts at, and they put metal. And the reason they put the metal in is it doesn't have to heat up as long and as hot. So they do 1 million PSI at 1500 degrees, and it crystallizes and forms that diamond. So now they're producing 7 million carats a year in lab-grown diamonds. So what the lab diamond does is it allows you to have better quality,
really,
for cheaper pricing. So right now, like if you were to ask me, that's why I haven't told you about those. If you were to ask me 10 years ago, average size of a diamond engagement ring, I think nationally it was a little over half a carat. I think here in the Woodlands it was probably a carat.
Yeah.
1 carat. Now, 2.5. And it's mostly lab. I would say about 60% now. It used to be up to 90%. 60% now are lab diamonds. So now if you see a lady under the age of 40 and she has a big rock on her hand,
woman.
Right, big rock on her hand, and she's not getting into a Lamborghini, it's a lab, because that diamond is 20%
less.
Oh no, it's 20% of the value. Like it's 80% discounted from a natural.
So a regular 1 carat is X number, and a lab one is 80% less.
Yeah, so just on a ballpark, a 1 carat natural round diamond, average quality, you're going to look at $7,000. That same diamond in a lab, $950.
Holy crow! And I'm buying the real stuff. What the hell?
The real stuff is gonna. So 99% of jewelry is not an investment. The diamond that your dad bought your mom and paid $5,000 for, they're not going to get $7,000 when they try to sell it. You're going to get like $2,500. You're going to get something for that. Only rare pink diamonds and old vintage Patek Philippe watches or Rolexes are going to be worth more. But lab diamonds, you're not getting $50 for it.
That's crazy.
Because there's no resale in it. Because why? Because the prices since 2019, when they first really came out, I was at that jewelry show in Vegas, and there was one company showing there. Last week when I went to the jewelry show, there's 150 lab diamond companies. So the pricing is dropped for that.
Yeah.
So there's a thing to say, like, I'm starting to see a trend back to, for engagement rings, naturals. So carat and a half there. Yeah, because it gets to a point where your engagement ring dinner should not be more than the diamond that you put on her hand.
We get
did I confuse you on that one?
Wait a minute. Not carry the knot, because my daughter got married, had to pay for that. Right. Then I had to pay for one of my son's weddings.
Trust me, I would wish I would have had a lab when I got married.
Trust me, I wish I could have used condoms. So, I mean, kids are expensive.
Yeah.
So, when you're selling yours, what do you sell? Mostly real diamonds?
It's almost 50-50 right now.
Is it?
Yeah, honestly. And for a bit of time, right after 2020 and stuff, it was probably 80-20 lab. And it's the reason that they were pushing it in the market and people asked for it because it was younger demographic.
Yeah. That's why I was
price
asking.
Point.
Yeah.
No carbon footprint, no blood diamond, stuff like that. And they really, at that stage, they probably weren't that invested in like the origin, the history of that stone. Now I'm seeing a little bit of a shift to people that are wanting to get engaged or wanting to know the story behind it. Like, if you think about like this diamond, this natural diamond was around before the human language was invented.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and telling that story. So like I said, engagement rings, more of the kind of natural. Fashion stuff, earrings, tennis bracelets, tennis necklaces, all that stuff, lab, because the price point, you can get bigger and better quality.
I mean, when I got engaged 45 years ago.
You chipped it out of a rock.
No, we didn't have, we had 2 gold bands. I couldn't afford a diamond.
My dad was managing the Gordon's Jewelry Store in Beaumont when him and my mom got married. They had plain, they used to have the big hammered finish bands. They had matching bands.
Yeah.
And that was it. And he was managing a jewelry store.
And now, as I made a couple bucks later in life, I bought her that big pair. You've seen that pear-shaped thing. And it's a real one. isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Because I don't want to be coming back going, that's a Labrador retriever.
So that's the thing. So in our industry, when it first started kind of coming through, I remember early 2020, somebody came in, a young guy had asked me, do you carry lab? And I remember seeing it at that show. I said, I don't, but I remember seeing this company. Let me call them up. And I said, tell me the process. So it's chemically a diamond. It is a diamond. It's just the crystallization process. That's it. So it's not
they
like
just
you're
speed it up.
Yeah. And so, everybody thought that they were going to be perfect. Well, they're not. I've seen some very low quality and crappy lab diamonds. Like I said, 95% of mine diamonds aren't for jewelry. They're for industry and for tech. So that's why if you were to go to certain places in the mall, not saying names, they would show you a diamond that's a 1 carat diamond that's $4,500. And the diamond I show you is $7,000. Well, there's parameters and there's specs that you have to look at. Some of those diamonds needed to be in drill bits versus being in a ring.
Gotcha.
So now you see that process happen and you say, well, hey, I can save, at that time it was half of a natural diamond. And why would I do that? And then the one thing I do see though is that now when people come in and they're saying, okay, she wants a lab, we're looking at it, is they'll see the pricing. And they'll say, oh, well, I wanted to spend almost double that. So let's, instead of that 2 carat, let's look at a 4 carat. But you got to keep in mind, a bigger stone is going to sit up taller. It's going to be bigger. And then she's going to want to upgrade at some point. So what are you going to go from 4 carat, and do that? And then, what if she back in 15, 20 years, she wants a natural? You're going to back to a 1 carat.
Yeah.
For the pricing, and stuff. So it's been a big shift. And in our industry, it was like you either sell them or you don't. And now kind of there's a lot of people.
So 40 years of this, really. You started when you were like 7, washing the windows and all that.
Yeah.
And this is why I wanted to have him on here, because tell me that's not educational. I mean, I've known him for 40 years.
And I
35.
just blew your mind.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? And we talk about a lot of stuff when I go into the store, but apparently
not jewelry.
And so you got Cameron. He's a freshman.
My son, yeah, he's a freshman at College Park. My daughter Brianna is a senior, going to be a senior at College Park.
Yeah. Okay. And then Matt has 2
the exact same age. So here's the weird thing.
But they go to Grand Oaks.
They go to Grand Oaks. So here's the weird thing, is that our oldest, his oldest is Jacob, mine's Brianna, are 13 hours to the minute apart from each other, and our youngest is a week apart. So everybody thinks like, did y'all lock up and like tonight's the night? I was like, no, hey, trust me.
Hey, we're making a baby tonight.
Trust
what about?
Me.
Yeah, we got it too.
But yeah, so and then our brother Jason has 2 kind of split in the middle there. But yeah, so we've got our family has 6. My mom has 6 grandkids now. We unfortunately lost our dad 7 years ago to early onset Alzheimer's. So none of our kids, maybe the oldest, kind of remember him. Yeah. They don't know him.
He was a good dude.
Yeah, they don't remember him.
He was all business.
Yeah.
Every once in a while he'd smile.
Yeah. He was the guy behind the scenes. He would love to go to shows. He would love if you were going to make a ruby piece. He would sit there and sort through 100 of them to find you the best ones.
Yeah.
Because he would always tell us like, the best deal is when both parties get something out of it.
Yeah.
And so
I'm surprised, because he would see me coming in the store. I'm surprised you don't have the buzzer on there.
He would walk to the back.
Yeah.
And then, Ray, you get
Vinny's
up there.
Here.
Yeah, you get up there and talk to him. But no, he was a great man. He taught me and my brothers pretty much everything that we know.
Fantastic.
But yeah, so it's hard to believe you said 40 years, but we've been Woodlands Online's #1 jeweler the last 14 years in a row.
And we're in their studio today.
14 years in a row.
#1 jeweler.
I know. The first time that we came, like they had the awards or the voting, I didn't even know what they were voting for. They're like, "Congratulations, you came in second." I'm like, "In what? What are we doing?" And then from that point on, we've been fortunate enough to be the best.
I'm telling you, it's a great place. I love you, and I love what you've done. Great for the community, professional. Until I walk in,
professional.
Yeah, and and you're doing continuing education all the time. You're going to the jewelry shows, and there's new trends coming. The lab diamonds. And
the same thing, kind of like in your industry as well too, and real estate. And here, I mean, you got to know what people are wanting, what's not, because if you're not growing, then you're just dying.
Yeah, they're saying that the rich people are actually driving the market right now, the real estate market. And I'm like, well, that's good for the jewelry business too. So.
Yeah, and I mean, right now with the price of gold, actually gold's starting to drop a lot. But yeah, people see
40
that.
for over $4,000 for an ounce of gold.
Yeah, but it got up to 5,300.
Yeah.
And now, before we started taping this, I think it was 4,100.
And then silver, that's
Silver's at 64. It got up to 130.
yeah.
So, but that, it's weird because people see that intrinsic value. Like last year at that same jewelry show, it was at $3,300 an ounce, and I'm thinking nobody's going to buy because it's so high. People are buying it everywhere because they can actually see it and hold it.
Yeah.
And at that
It's
show,
a tangible
it's 45.
asset.
Yeah. And you're going to
same with
it's like a pool to me, I think, in a house. You put a pool in your house to enjoy it. You're not pulling the pool in so it's going to increase your value when you try to sell it. You're doing it for you.
Yeah.
Same thing. I'm buying this necklace because I want this necklace, or I want my wife to have this necklace, and then it's going to be passed down because your kids are going to look at whatever you're wearing, and they're going to say, "I want Dad's ring. I want Mom's necklace because I always remember her having it on." So no matter what that value is, it doesn't matter. They just see that, and that's what they want. And that's the great thing about jewelry is you pass it down.
The ring that my daughter wears was my great-great-grandmother's ring. Gave it to my great-grandmother, gave it to my grandmother, who I kind of grew up with, and then my mom. My mom gave it to my daughter. And when my mom got it, I think my grandmother had it, they had a diamond on it. It was just a band first. And so my daughter got it, and they moved into this new house in Memorial, and she left it on the counter in the master closet.
Yeah.
And my son-in-law can't change a light bulb. Guys took it, and they couldn't prove it. They didn't have a camera in there. And I said, well, that's a lesson learned. I said, but it may show up in a couple years. Like you always hear every year, somebody's digging in their flower garden and they find an A&M ring, right? That has the guy's name in there and what year he graduated.
Right.
And sure enough, 3 years later, the detective said, this guy tried to pawn your ring. I think I got it. It was on Channel 2 News and everything.
That's what?
Never
happens. Yeah, that never
out of the
happens.
park, yeah.
Because I know you'd have probably been like, look, you're the one out of 5 generations. You lost it.
And she felt so, because it's priceless.
Oh, yeah.
You
that's the
put
thing.
A price
well,
on
no,
that.
that's the thing is that, there's not a dollar amount. That could have been a $200 ring, but it's $2 million to y'all.
Yeah.
But I see it, we almost every day people come in with either trying to sort out an estate or trying to figure out, this was my parents and I don't want, what I'm going to do with this. The great thing with jewelry is that you can recycle it, meaning you can refurbish it. So you may not want that piece that your mom gave you because it's not your style, but you can take those stones out, make 4 or 5 different things that are your style, and you remember them about it.
They did this ring for me. This ring was on a different band, and we played a lot of catch. And the way it was cut, every time I'd catch a ball, it would cut my fingers in there. And I said, hey, can you fix this? So you took the diamonds out of that thing and redid this band, and it's almost round from smacking it around.
Pitch your finger.
Yeah, my finger's out of round.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's really important because those are generational things. They're just going to be handed down to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy.
Yeah, most people, like I said, the kids are going to look at stuff that you've worn all the time. So you get a piece and you're like in your late 70s, it may not mean as much to your kids, your grandkids as your wedding ring does.
Yeah.
And so that's things that I tell customers all the time too, as well as like my older customers, like, hey, start to tell people stories behind these things. Like when you got it and what it was, or if you're not wearing those pieces, give it to them.
Yeah.
And let them enjoy it, and stuff like that.
Yeah, my wife's left her wedding ring to my granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter.
Right.
And that story didn't have a diamond on it when we got it, I think we paid $90 for both bands.
That's my dad. I was going to say my dad,
and I can
being
hardly
the jeweler,
pay for it.
It was $200 for both of their bands. I was like, $200 out. Wow. He's like, I was making $95 a week as a manager.
Yeah.
That's half my monthly salary.
Woohoo!
Right. I was like, God, he made up for it later on.
Well, I'm glad you've done really well.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, and we always have a great time in the store and outside the store.
Yep.
So look over here. Tell everybody Robichau Jeweler, and then give them the 2 addresses, and then you have a website, right?
I don't even know the address for the third one, second one.
Okay.
I'll just say it's
loser.
You can edit this all out. So you just say my name and just whatever?
Yeah, just tell them.
Okay.
John Robichau.
Yep.
And Robichau's Jewelry in Panther Creek Village Center.
And then Harmony Commons in Spring.
Harmony Commons in Spring.
Got it.
And
yes, stop talking.
yeah, I know where that is. Is that by the HEB over there? Yeah. Okay,
I think it's 3478. I'm just going to try that.
Oh, you know what? Socks. I forgot the socks.
Oh.
Because this is a sock. What's that say? Worst gift
Worst
ever?
gift ever.
From
So I get all my socks from my kids and my wife.
No
So they
ties.
no ties. So hi, my name is John Robichau with Robichau's Jewelry. We have 2 locations here serving the Woodlands area. What are we laughing at?
Because we never edit.
Well, you should.
Why? People want to see you for who you
are.
And you've done a great job. So don't get all red and everything.
I'm not red.
Yeah.
So we have 2 locations, one in Panther Creek Shopping Center right next to Brooklyn Cafe, and our second one is over in Hominy Commons, which is over off of 99 in Rayford, the Bender's Landing area. You can check out either store. You can go to our website, robichauxjewelry.com.
You open on Saturday and Sunday?
Open Saturday, so Monday through Friday at the Woodlands store, 10 to 6 Monday through Friday, Saturday 10 to 3. And then the spring store is only open Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 6, and Saturday 10 to 3.
Why? People don't shop on Mondays over there?
Well, I have three employees there, so to try to say, hey, everybody gets a day off and all that, so we just close it down. Yeah. Most jewelry stores are closed on Mondays.
Are they?
Because they're open Saturdays.
Nice.
So we just do that.
Well, thanks for tuning in. We got some really great content coming in addition to this guy.
Yeah, not this one.
Yeah, this was okay. For a new guy.
Yeah,
But
Bush
I'm
League.
out to lunch, and there's a reason I'm out to lunch right here. Peace out.
Speaking of lunch.